I call Adrian Rafi.
Tēnā koe e te māngai e te whare o tērā, tēnā tātou katoa. Mr. Speaker, can I just start off by saying that the Education Act 1989 was actually brought in by a Labour government, and this is the bill that we're speaking about. There are other bills as well, sir. Can I start off there because I think, to be fair, I want to say that the amendments to the Ngāriamu VC and 28th Māori Battalion Memorial Scholarship Fund Act is necessary. And I want to acknowledge what has been put into this part of the Act. The problem is that I have though, sir, is that this is an omnibus bill and quite frankly, there are a number of things that have been widely canvassed which are not good. And that is why we cannot support this bill. So can I, from my view of the world, of what's actually going on with this education legislation bill, the way I see it is that the national government has a policy agenda, and the policy agenda is around the commercialisation, providing a commercial model for our free education system. It's also about partially privatising or even moving towards fully privatising some parts of education, sir. That's my view of what this is all about. Can I say that, and it's not a policy that the government has announced, it's a policy that it does by stealth. It brings in certain things in in a bill like this that makes incremental steps towards where they really want to take this country, where they really want to take the education system in our country. And that is to partially privatise education. And so let's talk about charter schools. Now, schools can choose, or other entities can choose to apply to start a charter school. Now, these charter schools are unfair in this respect. Each child at those schools get funded up to 5 times greater than other schools. And I have a big problem with that. Now, the Minister spoke about how students in those schools are performing much better. Well, I would think so. I would hope so. I would hope so. If you were getting 5 times more funding than other schools, you would expect that those schools to be performing better. But the reality of it is they hardly do better overall than state-funded schools. Now, so why would you do it? And I put forward to you, sir, the argument that the why they do it is because they want to make incremental steps towards a different kind of education system for our country, and sir, we will not agree to that. And that is why we are standing up here to say no to this bill. The shame of it is that there are some things in other parts of the bill which are necessary, but I go back to my key point around charter schools. We don't agree with it. Sir, the previous speaker, Mr. Seymour, said it was enabling. Well, from my view of the world, it enables the application of a commercial model, point in case, and I'll go to that section. The changes to clauses section 75 and 76 of the Education Act. Now, some of us, a number of us actually on this side of the House and probably on the other side as well, have had a lot to do with school boards of trustees. Some of us, like myself, did my training in governance in that arena. And I can tell you, making a change to and adding in section 75A doesn't automatically mean that schools are going to have the capacity to be able to unite in a way that commercial model suggests that it can do. I know that from where I come from, all of the rural schools, the school is actually the centre point, the hub of those communities. It's where those communities go to. I would be very surprised if any of the schools that I know and are involved in a rural setting would put forward a proposal to have one principal to cover all of those communities. Some of those communities are quite unique. Some of them have a large Māori population, others have mainly non-Māori. They have different interests. All of these things supposedly are able to be handled by one principal. Well, I'd be very surprised if that happened in a rural setting. So I also want to address actually some of the quite mean and nasty comments that have been made in this debate. And in particular, I would suggest that the member from ACT, David Seymour, go and have a good think about what he said in the House tonight. I suspect that the issue around the Official Information Act, I'll probably go so far as say that he's probably turned down a ministerial so he doesn't have to be subject to the Official Information Act, because if you have a look at it in this bill, issues around the charter school are not subject to the Official Information Act. And if you're about an open and transparent government, sir, then I would say that is a shocking situation that we find ourselves in. Because if charter schools are so good, if they are so good, then why is it that charter school or the both charter schools and the Undersecretary are not subject to the Official Information Act? And I think that he does a great disservice to this House on the issues that he talked about, sir. I think, sir, also allowing tertiary education providers to operate charter schools, as my colleague Jenny Salesa pointed out, it does raise a number of issues. It raises exactly why is the need to have tertiary institutes starting up charter schools. Well, I suspect that's got a lot to do with the fact that there are not enough schools showing interest in becoming charter schools. I think that the whole notion around that scares them off, and so well it should do, purely and simply on the basis that it is an unfair system that treats some schools a lot better than others. And I believe, sir, that if that funding was equally distributed amongst all schools, then we would get far better outcomes for our children that attend those schools. And sir, just on the other matters that are within this bill, it provides a new Schedule 2 for the Pacific Education Foundation. It's equally a shame that this part of this bill is part of an omnibus bill, which fundamentally, the principal part of this bill we cannot agree with. And sir, my contribution tonight is purely and simply on that we will not support this bill at its first reading. Thank you.
I call Stuart